live?
I think so. It seemed to have a little bit of a wobble then as well.
Yeah, I think your camera's absolutely shocking here. It's gone dial up again. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
good morning. How you doing, Gaz?
Not too bad considering, but yeah, not the best of weeks. We seem to be getting bad to bloody worse here.
I know. So yeah, you've got me and Gaz this morning. We were going to try and drag Grant on, sorry, but he is been ill all week. Some sort of virus going around Bali, so he's been out of action. And then Alex is actually in Denver, so he's been not even partying all week. I think he's just been making the rounds. He was talking on a panel, I think Wednesday, and then he's just been going to a lot of side events and speaking to people around the industry. Quite positive, to be fair, in terms of, I suppose it was probably a microcosm over there at the moment, with everyone just being busy and talking about their projects and not really focusing on the market. It always seems when there's a bloody conference though, like it's normally like Bitcoin Miami or something like that, where we get this sort of
all the bidders are out on the jolly. That's why.
Absolutely. So hopefully they all come back next week and it's not as bleak. But what are your thoughts, Gaz, in terms of the market this week? Well, I know you were speaking on round trippers on Mail Deal earlier this week, and so what are your thoughts really there in terms of where we're at?
I think in terms of where we're at, it's kind of like a lot of people have the question now: is this a bear kind of trend? Obviously, we're in a downtrend now. If you whatever way you cut it, but is it the end of the market cycle, or do we have similar to what we had last cycle, where we have this kind of double bubble and we go again at some point? And I think a lot of that comes down to, will there be a strategic Bitcoin reserve or not really, to be honest with you, at this point. You've seen obviously quite a lot of risk off in macro land. Stocks not looking particularly healthy, and obviously that factors into things that Trump's been saying, which has just provided more and more uncertainty, which kills speculation more broadly, doesn't it? So obviously we're kind of the most speculative of asset classes here, so we always get the the shit end of the stick. So it's not too much of a surprise we've sold off hard, but yeah, I think it's just been brutal in terms of like multiple days and days of just down price action with no significant bounce whatsoever as of yet.
I think it's sort of like it's been like this every week, hasn't it? It's sort of uncertainty that's like you say, kills speculation, and it's this is sort of peak. And I guess this was like the biggest worry I had with obviously Trump coming into office, is how much uncertainty was it going to create. And then every week there's just some headline, every day there's some headline in terms of what he's doing with the economy, what he's saying about other countries and sort of macro situations around global, like economic factors, global situations around the world. Like you never know what's going to come out. I think he was speaking at our PM yesterday, and and I think that in itself was quite an interesting conversation. And what he came out with, he was a bit of a dick, but what do you expect? So yeah, it's just obviously in terms of I guess the crypto market. A lot of things have now retraced completely, haven't they, in terms of where we were in November?
Yeah, I think you're seeing like extreme fear levels now. You're seeing obviously the kind of meme price action of Sailor's average buys starting to creep up on my timeline. I think that's like 66K is average, which is crazy. Obviously not heaps away from that. And I think the breakout from the kind of Trump pump is that kind of high 60s, low 70s region. So it looks like kind of we might retrace all the way to that level. So obviously not great, but yeah, we'll see how things progress from here. But I kind of do feel slightly uneasy, but that's obviously going to happen anytime you do go down. You're not going to be feeling great about it. What kind of levels would you, as a market participant here, for someone who's been in the crypto market for a long time, at what point do you just think I have to start bidding?
I think it's like if you've got a this is what I've questioned this week. I think I'm like, if I believe in crypto long term, then what asset classes now and what assets across the market have the most traction? And I guess you were speaking about it on round trippers again in terms of what do you have confidence in. So I've still got like open positions, but I think this is where you've got to do your DD and understand like what is actually going on at the moment to actually place them long term bets. If you just want to sort of start bidding and I guess see a bright future in certain majors alone, then what is actually who is actually building, where's the money flows, like you've got your Sonics and stuff like that, where I think like long term that even if you were DCing in or just slowly like bidding away, if you've got a long term outlook that this space is sort of in a positive position, and once the dust settles and there's not so much I guess uncertainty, then what is going to come out and sort of shine as things do settle, and if they do settle. But obviously, we're sat here. I still believe in crypto as an asset class. I think it's been in a weird headspace, but I'd be okay once the dust settles bidding on something that is still continuing gaining traction. I think, such as your Sonics, such as your Berachains, where people aren't going to stop building either. Like it's even like ETH Denver this week. There's people clearly building away, and that's always been the case, whether it's a bull market or a bear market. It just becomes a bit more, I guess, shall we say, there's like segmented in terms of what gets a bid, and it's probably more clear. If I was sat and sidelined, I'd probably wait for the dust to settle and see what's strongest. If I'm totally honest, I've left positions open. I'm just lazy, but I'm sort of confident in them positions that'll come out in, say, in a year, 2 years, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
I think it's fair enough to have kind of that conversation with yourself in terms of what do you actually have a long-term thesis on? Are you willing to, for example, just DCA BTC at these levels because it's around the 200-day moving average, I believe, like traditionally being a decent spot? Like, do you want to just hodl some for the long term? Like, Bitcoin probably hasn't eternally topped at this level, but can you then stomach the drawdowns as well? So obviously it comes down to your position, how much you're going to size in, and your overall financial statement in it as well, because a lot of people are just here gambling with money they literally can't afford to lose. So that's not
They
ideal.
probably have outperformed if they just bloody bought Bitcoin. I probably would have outperformed as well if they just bought Bitcoin. But here we are.
You should see some of the, because I was looking through my runes wallet, how much Bitcoin I lost on runes. Dreadful stuff, bro.
Yeah, I wish I was a good trader, but I'm not. I'm thankful that I've actually got like sort of a career in the industry to fall back on. Otherwise, I would actually be fucked.
Yeah, me and Mike are contractually obliged to be here today.
Unfortunately, no. I told man these Fridays, to be honest. So obviously, it's been not a mad week in terms of news headlines. Like they've been pretty decent, I think. Well, I say decent. Some good, some bad. What happened on Friday then? Well, it seems like Fridays are always a bad omen these
Every time we
past
log
few
off,
weeks.
we
Like
log off.
we should probably change this to a Monday, because by like we do this on a Friday, it seems okay, and then we post the video and then some shit happens. So we probably should do it on a Monday. But yeah, I guess the talk of the town from Friday was the sort of Bybit hack from a centralized exchange point of view. So on Monday, I'll normally do this. Does he share his screen? What
Yeah,
does
if
he
you
do?
can pull it up, yeah, why not?
You're gonna have to bear with us because I don't have a clue. Here we go. So yeah, so on Friday, if again, as Al would say, if you're living on a rock, you wouldn't have seen it, but unfortunately, there was another significant hack. It was like the largest hack that we'd seen, I think, in the industry. Bybit, centralized exchange, was hacked for 1.5 billion.
Crazy.
This came from, I guess there was reports flying out, and it was being confirmed because they were due to do some routine maintenance and moving funds from one wallet to another. A lot of exchanges sort of do this, I think, from just a security practice. However, it was sort of identified by Zach XBT that it was actually a hack that was undergoing. And it was brought to light that this was Lazarus Group from North Korea, which it always seems to be. Over time, I guess the sort of seen that there was a lot of linked wallets from previous hacks to this hack on Bybit. They had sort of circumnavigated the I think it was the safe wallet, in terms of the circumnavigated safe wallet interjected code into, I guess, the front user interface, and then when the blinds transaction was being signed, it actually rerouted the funds, and that in turn turned them over to the North Koreans, unfortunately. So I guess it was sort of battle stations for Bybit in terms of this. How did you think they sort of handled this sort of situation, Gaz?
I think they handled it well in terms of the transparency. I mean, I think Benzu had a live stream up within about 2 hours of this actually going down, which is pretty crazy, to be fair. Because it was Friday evening, I was driving to the gym. This started to break, and I was like, "Do I turn the car around or not?" At this point, persisted anyway because I was like, I don't use centralized exchanges broadly. And then I just seen he was going to do the live stream, and then you got into it, and he's there with his Red Bull in hand and telling you, right, someone's taking the funds, but we will kind of backstop this no matter what. We've got the funds available. Seen some bridging loans come in from the likes of like BitGet. Binance even supplied some ETH as well to ensure that withdrawals could continue for customers. So it was good in terms of like their response time and the fact they kept withdrawals open. I think within 24 hours, everything was kind of normal on the withdrawals front. And of course, you have people chipping in from the industry to help them out, which obviously you don't get in other industries. Like crypto does seem to resolve its own problems very well, which is certainly an impressive feat.
Mhm.
But then you do kind of wonder how much of the kind of fall from the BTC range is attributed to this, because obviously they have to sell assets to try and plug the gaps elsewhere. Like 1.5 bill has vanished; they haven't got it back. So did that, cause potentially this sell-off that we've seen? It's got to have factored in, right? So we'll
Well,
see how. What's the good comments in there?
well, I guess there's a couple of things, isn't there? So, like, I guess the amount of there's speculation. Didn't North Korea then hold like the largest amount of ETH? And I guess it's from an ETH's perspective, from a comms and overall all. I guess the view of Ethereum at the moment, in terms of they just keep getting things piled at them. Like, why of all the vaults that was sort of compromised and money stolen was it ETH again? Putting it in a sort of, not directly, but a bad limelight. But yeah, has it caused a sell off? It's just not a. We always seem when we're close to the bottom, or when we're this sort of thing always rears its head, and it's not great. They managed to get some of the funds back, I think. I
I
think
think
there was sort of funds
there
being
have been
stolen.
freezes and stuff. Yeah, there was some speculation that Circle weren't doing their jobs correctly. Like they're there from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday only, and I think there was a lot of USDC sat in a wallet that Zach had pointed to, saying they could have froze this, but there was no one home to actually press the buttons, which is kind of piss poor in a way. But I think I've seen a few, say, amusing stats, but like ETH swap volumes on, say, Thorchain have just gone absolutely parabolic through the roof. That seems to be an off ramp that the North Koreans have been able to use. There was a little bit of Pump.Fun launches, I think, at
Oh
the early
yeah.
part of this, where they were like off ramping a few, was it like maybe a mil or two or off via Sol. It's just a bad stain on the industry more broadly. But is there enough liquidity to get all that funds out? No. But it's kind of like you're getting this snowballing of bad headlines coming, and then took us through the actual kind of support region then.
Well, I guess from like that perspective as well, then like Pump.Fun, they're in a bad limelight as well, and I know they did take down a token, didn't they, that was
Yeah.
related to that. They actually took action, which is sort of, I guess, like a positive aspect, because there was other tokens that have been launched in the past from Pump.Fun, and there has been calls for them being taken down and haven't took action. Because I know there was a couple of unknown wallets that were sort of sending tokens to the wallet that all the hacked funds were sent to, and they were selling that straight into Sol and whatever, like you were saying. But I'm sure that's sort of in America, that's sort of wire fraud. Like, correct me, I might be wrong, but I'm sure if you're soliciting a way of people, I guess, getting funds out like that, like the North Koreans, then that is essentially illegal to do that. And even sort of participate in them tokens, you don't want your wallet linked to.
Yeah.
This sort of Lazarus group. So again, they did some good in terms of taking, I think, some tokens down, but still the ability that the North Koreans had and Lazarus group had to actually extract them funds through Pump.Fun isn't overall positive.
In terms of the trouble this has caused now for Safe, in terms of a UI compromise, like what's the implications more broadly of this? Because it feels like nowhere in crypto is safe to keep your funds,
Well, this is
and
the other thing, isn't it?
that kind of like perspective of like, unless you put it in your bank, it's not real kind of thing. Not your keys, not your crypto, and all that. But like, even if it is your own keys, as you've seen, you've got one of the biggest exchanges in the world lose 0.4% of the ETH supply to a hack, which is not a good look, really. So like, what do we do in terms of like a safety point of view going from here? Because things that people thought were kind of lindy, there's been some stress fractures here.
Well, yeah, I think there's been a couple of instances I was trying to recall this morning, where like I think it was like a rootkit or whatever in terms of malicious code being injected into like certain protocols in the past, and then them being to gain access. I think it might be MetaMask. Something it happened last year definitely because I remember me being at the battle station going, "Oh shit, I need to re-download this, I need to update this so that I can potentially can't lose funds." And it's sort of similar situation with I guess Safe. They could have attacked anyone. I think if they'd have got like, I think I read a tweet where it was if they'd have injected this malicious code into any sort of widely used directory, they could have stolen a lot more. I don't know why they're sort of focusing on Bybit, but obviously in terms of using Safe, that's sort of I guess it's an industry standard in terms of that or say Fireblocks where people will use that to sort of have some more steps in terms of custody of funds and keeping them safe with like a multi-sig. But if that can be bypassed completely in this, well, it was in this case, it's just a bit scary. Like you say, like where do you put your funds?
Yeah, it doesn't give you a great feeling, does it? Like you work hard to try and run the bags up, and then you potentially try and keep them in a in a safe environment, and then you're like question yourself: are they actually safe here, or do I need to go back into fiat because they're somewhat you're secured in the UK up to I think 80K in your bank account, aren't you? So yeah, I think this has been a troubling one for the industry in terms of the second order kind of impacts from this. I think a lot of people have questioned security of funds more broadly. So yeah, not to dwell on this too much, but obviously that was a big market mover earlier in the week, and I think we've had like some positive news coming through as well. It's not been all terrible. Obviously, price action hasn't been great, but I think we got a new story on the SEC as well, giving a bit of let up for crypto. Do you want to pull that one up and have a little look?
I'll have a go. Like you say, you have to bear with me. I did try to be organised with this and get them all ready. Is this the one? Yes, this is the one. So yeah, I guess. So from this, the SEC have wound up in investigations into a bunch of crypto-related projects again this week. So let off the leash have been Coinbase, OpenSea, Uniswap, Gemini, and Robinhood. They've agreed in principle to dismiss its case against Coinbase as well. I think that was one of the bigger ones that were sort of it's been going on a while in terms of exchange in terms of the exchange violating US security laws. US Uniswap also confirmed that the agency has closed its investigation into the company with no enforcement action. Meanwhile, during the Gensler's regime, I'm shit at this. Al does a way better job. OpenSea was told that non-fungible tokens listed on the platform were unregistered securities. This is obviously all. This has been also dismissed as well. I think there was a sort of something the other week in terms of saying NFTs are not securities anyway at all. So why should you pay attention? Cameron Winklevoss highlighted the agency's decision to step back came 699 days after the start of their investigation and 277 days after they sent the company a Wells notice. Despite the relief, he said, this is not little to make up for the damage this agency has done our industry in America. he emphasised it's wholly unacceptable for an agency like the SEC to bully, harass, and attack a lawful industry and then decide one day to simply say we're good and walk away unless there is a cost and price to be paid. So I guess with this, it's like what were the, I guess it's the impact, the stress, the money lost.
The litigation costs alone would be absolutely phenomenal from this. Like the amount of money that a lot of teams here have had to waste to just put up a fight and have legal counsel is just going to be silly numbers, like hundreds and hundreds of millions. And probably,
I guess
like,
this.
I think overall, I've seen numbers from like the FTX case. Like, obviously, there's repayments have begun and continue into second half of this year, but I think the legal costs for that, one of the firms clocked up like 400 mil.
Jesus Christ!
That the lawyers took $400 million from that. Like, it's just incredible. If things go bad in crypto, like how long it takes to get your funds back, go through these processes, like it's not a nice place. And during Gensler's tenure, I think it was like 125 enforcement actions that he brought about. So like you can scale these numbers up, and a lot of teams obviously will be breathing a sigh of relief to see the back of him. And obviously we're getting a bit of positive action coming from this with these cases being dropped. But yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath that they're going to get any recompense from this.
No, it's interesting, really, in terms of, I guess, why they did it. I guess why the SEC, in terms of why you wanted to attack people that were acting lawfully. I understand in terms of stamping out the sort of scams and the sort of bottom dwellers of the industry, but not when people are trying to like pave a new paradigm for the industry and actually operate in a company that. And I guess this is what we've seen also in what Andre put out in terms of like the stress he saw with FTM and why he walked away, and I guess personal stress as well. Like I couldn't imagine what you go through there when you're just trying to do something. Imagine just operating a standard company and then the SEC, not even in crypto, and then someone coming after you while you're trying to make a business work. You've got people that work for you that have livelihoods that you need to provide for and everything like that. And like in the Andre case, like he said, he had nothing. He didn't have any money. He wasn't bootstrapped and whatever else. So that legal angle that you were saying there, in terms of the cost to fight that in like in the US, must be completely draining. And I guess what we've said before is, I know price action is shit, but it does, in terms of like when the dust settles, what does the landscape look like for actual builders and people that are just trying to build and create new innovative products?
Yeah, I think there probably will be like this reset that occurs now. And if we can continue forward from here and get maybe a second leg or even into the future, irrelevant of what happens this market cycle, you're going to see the companies that are actually profitable, producing decent products are probably going to do well off the back of this. And then I did see today, though, there was a statement come out from the SEC that meme coins are collectibles, not securities. So I don't know if that's a positive or negative, to be honest with you. But I think more broadly, just the fact there's a let up for crypto companies is a good thing and will help the industry going forward, because to have zero certainty of your future as a builder obviously isn't a great thing. So yeah, I think brighter days ahead.
So moving on from that, so we were mentioning Pump.Fun, and I guess it's coming in the headlines this week that Pump.Fun are looking to launch a AMM, which is interesting, given, I guess, where Pump.Fun has been sort of in the limelight, not so much in a positive thing, I guess, in terms of the industry across CT. Their sort of extractive behavior that they've exhibited with Pump.Fun and I guess the meme coin casino sort of dying a death at current, because it's been so extractive. What was the sort of win rate of people on Pump.Fun? I think it was like 0.01%, which terrible, is actually insane.
Terrible.
Me and Gaz were just talking before the stream about this in terms of Radium's price dropping by 23%. being triggered by Pump.Fun launching its own automatic market maker. Radium's been, I guess, the top decentralized exchange on Solana for people launching meme coins and being a liquidity provider over there. But what are the implications, I guess? Is it a cause and effect of actually just in terms of where Solana's at the moment? What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think the casino broadly has taken money from people. That's been pretty obvious to see. And obviously, with the huge extraction events, there's less and less punters in the casino more broadly. And Solana has been the casino of the cycle. So whether you attribute the Pump.Fun, it's like a potential announcement that they would like kind of vertically integrate the stack here. Whether this was cause or effect, not 100% sure on it. I think Radium's down like 75% from its highs like in Jan, which is a heck of a lot. But if you look at like their daily revenue and stuff, it has just been going swiftly down, because if you haven't got people in the casino, obviously the revenue numbers are going to be poor. You haven't got the transactions, you haven't got ULPs being set up. So whether this is just part of that market cycle and you're going to get this flush anyway, I'm not too sure if it's directly because of the Pump.Fun announcement. And I think off the back of that, you have to question, does Pump.Fun do well again from here, or is it just the game's totally figured out at this point? I think that was kind of the band-aid being ripped off when you saw how this was being spoken about by some of the scammers more recently, and everything sniped. Cabals are setting up these new meme coins. Like, it's not been a good look more broadly. So I did check out some of the June stats. Over the last 24 hours, only 68 graduations on Pump.Fun, which is down.
Wow.
If you think back to like November, December, there's probably like 10,000 or something crazy. And I think it was like one token made $1 million market cap in my last couple of days from Pump.Fun. So it just feels like that game's just been done, dusted. We've mentioned that previously, but I think it's more of like a concern around Sol DeFi. If liquidity really dries up here and people just aren't trading and utilizing these dexes, the tokens are just going to continue to trend down, even if they do have buybacks. Like Radium does buybacks, but if they've got no revenue, the buybacks are going to be pitiful, aren't they? So,
and I think as well, like it's again the perception of Pump.Fun at the moment and how extractive it's been. Even if they do launch an AMM, how will that be perceived overall in terms of over your, I guess your legacy sort of AMMs like Radium? Why would people move?
yeah.
Like, I guess there's two takes here. Community reaction on X varied. A user exclaimed Pump.Fun can ruin anything in crypto, which it arguably already has in terms of like what it's done with the meme coin casino. Meanwhile, some countered optimistically by saying more AMMs equals better liquidity, better pricing, and more options for traders. Don't
They just want to take
agree
more
with
of the stack so they can increase their profits and off-ramp them through Kraken like they have been doing each and every week. So,
well, yeah, it's just more fees, isn't it? More fees to them.
It's a business to them.
Related. Yeah,
they're just trying to extract the value that they can from the casino whilst it's open. So, to be honest with you, it'd be good if they launch it and then there's just no uptake, and then you can kind of put Pump.Fun to bed a little bit. Whether that happens or not, I'm not sure, because there are a lot of people who love to continue to gamble on Pump even today. So it's a tough one to call, but I think you're just going to see some of these things that will just have like a quick death, to be honest.
As well, like it's for in terms of muscle memory, it's very hard to change that. And in terms of where I guess where the casino's at, it's even if they launch that right now, it's not going to be a change overnight. Like I think stats suggest that it's not going to see a resurgence anytime soon. I might be totally wrong, but I think there's sort of long tailwinds in terms of where things are at the moment with and where people are at. Obviously, mindshare, you've seen a big resurgence in terms of like DeFi and things like that, and actual credible building over memes. So on the other side of the thing, I think it's a bit of news, but I think there's more positive headwinds with the likes of your DeFi protocols and everything, and like I guess narratives and mindshare shifting elsewhere to the things that we want to see more of.
Yeah, I think the kind of yields and where people are actually making money now is kind of Bearer, Sonic. And if people are making money there and they're not making money on these kind of venues, that's obviously how people are going to move. They're not chained to one specific blockchain. They're going to be moving here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, I think you'll just see like the newer platforms and protocols do okay off the back of this, and you're kind of seeing the final last gasps from these kind of guys, and whether or not Pump just go out with one final blaze of glory and just launch the token to max extract one last time. We'll see what happens.
So I guess we've got one final one. It might be a bad one, this one, because I don't know anything about it really. We'll have a go here. So, in all the midst of this, this guy reared his head from whatever jail he's sitting in right now. Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of Collapse FTX.
We've gone from SBR to SBF here.
Oh God! So somehow he managed to tweet from jail. His thread managed to stir up buzz in the crypto world. The 32-year-old is serving 25 years for fraud, probably should be more. Shared a cryptic message about layoffs in the US, of all things. US President Donald Trump and Musk, with the Department of Government Efficiency, have mass laid off people across several government departments. According to estimates, around 95,000 jobs have been eliminated. I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. It's been significant. He's been cutting people left, right, and centre. I think Elon Musk even made a joke this week that they had it not directly related to jobs, but they had accidentally cut Ebola prevention funds and then realised it was a mistake and then gone back on it. So God knows what's going on over there. However, what he said is, I have a lot of sympathy for government employees. I too have not checked my mail over the past few hundred days and confirmed that being unemployed is a lot less relaxing than it looks.
Right.
Firing people is one of the hardest things to do in the world. It sucks for everyone. What on earth?
Yeah, one what, but is being locked up unemployment? It's a weird spin on things, being unemployed. You're actually doing 25-year sentence.
Yeah.
It feels like the Undertaker meme.
Yeah.
He's popped out of nowhere.
Is it just a sign of like where we're at? And why does weird things just happen when this is where the market's at? Like, where has he got his phone from? Why is he tweeting that? Why does he care? He's in jail. He's not going to see anything for 25 years. A lot of things can change in that time.
Yeah, it feels like the script writers have just pulled one out of left field and just given us an SBF on top of the already shit week we've had, which is bizarre. But
at least he's not getting out. Or I guess I saw some speculation like, is he going to get out? But please God, no.
I find it mad as well. Like, you see the Celsius network token and the FTT token still trading, and then if you get like any headline around them, there must just be algos programmed to bid, and then you see these big spikes on the chart. But like, they're dead essentially. But things just seemingly don't die off in crypto, do they?
Well, it's funny that he tweeted around the time that I guess repayments were starting to be made as well, aren't there? So like on the 18th, I think it was. Well, there was repayments from the estate that were getting paid out to people. I wonder, like, what do you think the implications of that are? I know that's a bit of a sidestep, but like, is it positive? Is it negative? What? Because I know they weren't getting, I guess, current value, whether it was sort of apart from Ethereum that hasn't moved, but everything
like BTC
else
at 16K or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so if you were someone who's getting them funds, what do you think people do? Do you think people dump? Do you think people like what are your options there really?
I think if you've been like if you were like zeroed out at the FTX debacle, you probably had written that money off.
Yeah.
And then at this point you're getting something back.
Lunch.
I mean, yeah, I kind of, as a market participant myself, would put some of the money back in, but I don't know if everyone would do that. I'd probably do half and half, just take half of it out and then play with the rest kind of thing. But I'm a bit of an idiot, so I wouldn't take that for granted. But obviously we had one installment of people getting, if they had a claim of less than 50K, they've got their money back, I believe. or those repayments began, didn't they, last week? And I don't know if they've been complete. I'm not one of the creditors personally, but you would think there'd be some. You would think there'd be some trickle into the market from that, but obviously nothing noticeable at this current juncture. But there's bigger repayments coming, I believe, in the second half, wasn't it? So yeah, we'll see what happens. There's some silver linings out there if you look for them really, really closely. You can make a bull case if you want.
Yeah, it just depends on how long your time horizons are, I guess.
Yeah, 10-year time horizon, just buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, every 2 years it's like we have a pump, and I'm like, I'll just have to wait another 2 years. It's probably going to be like the 20th cycle, and I'll be on death's door, and I might make it, but till then.
Sounds good. Yeah, well, hopefully, I think we've said this every single week since we've regularly been doing this show, but hopefully next week will be a bit better. It's just gone from worse to worse to worse.
And yeah, if you could like and subscribe. Apologies for this week. You've had to deal with me and not Alex. He's probably delivers it a lot better, but we got there.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Enjoy your weekends. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Quick one, nothing here is financial advice. It's for entertainment and educational purposes only. Always do your own research or speak to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.